Hello and welcome to Jackson's Job. Today we're going to learn how to make this simple sourdough bread. Here are the ingredients if you want to follow along. They'll also be included below. In a large bowl we're going to add in some salt, 1 teaspoon of salt, 5 grams, and then we're going to add in our water, 1 1/3 cups of water, 320 milliliters. Then we want to add in starter, a half a cup or 100 grams. After you add in your starter, don't forget to feed it later. You're going to mix this until it's well combined, and then we're going to add in 3 cups of flour or 450 grams. I like to use a scale whenever I make bread, and I recommend you pick one up if you can't afford it. Then you just want to mix this with the back of a spoon until it forms a shaggy dough. It doesn't take very long, maybe about a minute, minute and a half. Once it looks like this, we're going to cover it and let it rest overnight. Now, if you live in a really hot climate, you may need to put this in the fridge, otherwise just store it on your countertop. The next morning, we're going to get a colander out or a large bowl, and then we're going to put in a towel, and we're going to cover it with some flour. I like to sprinkle it generously, because if you don't, the dough will stick to the towel otherwise. The next morning, the dough should be pretty sticky and fluffy. Pull it out onto your work surface, and if you need to, you can wet your hands while you work with the dough. It will be quite sticky. Grabbing the outsides, pull it toward the middle to create some tension and to create a rough ball shape. Do this a few times until you get a really nice round shape. Don't worry if it's sticking to your hands, you can clean them off later. Gather this all up, and then you're going to put it seam side up into the towel. Fold over the towel to cover up the top of the dough, and then you're just going to put this in a warm, dry place until it is double in size. Now make sure whenever you're working with dough, you keep it out of the reach of children and pets because raw dough can be dangerous if ingested. I like to put mine in the microwave and then shut the door. You can also put it in the oven as long as it's turned off and let it rise in there. Next, you want to get an old tray and you want to fill it with 1 1/2 cups to 2 cups of water. Make sure you're using an old pan that you don't really care about because it can stain up your pan. I'll show it to you later after the bread is baked. After your dough has been rising for at least an hour, preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit or 230 degrees Celsius. Once it is risen, you want to invert it upside down onto a nonstick baking surface or a parchment-lined tray. Then you're going to gently remove the towel, and if you need to, wet your fingers to get it from sticking to the towel and not collapsing the dough. Then we are just going to slice the bread. Slicing the bread just helps the steam escape and control where the cracks form on the bread. You can use a lame like I'm using here, or you can use an ordinary kitchen knife. And you can make as many cuts as you like, and you can make them as decorative as you like. I'm just going to put in some random slices and see what happens. Now, after your oven has preheated, you want to make sure to just gently crack open your oven standing aside, and then you want to open it the rest of the way. You do this so you don't get a blast of steam in your face. Then you want to add in your dough and bake it 40 to 45 minutes or until it comes out golden brown. Remove it from the tray and cool it completely before you cut into it. If you cut it too early, it can release all the steam and it will dry out faster, and it also can be gummy in the center. So I do recommend you let it cool at least 1 hour before you cut into it, no matter how wonderful this stuff smells. Look how gorgeous this bread is. Isn't it absolutely pretty? Open this loaf up. It has got a nice crispy crust and we're going to cut into it. I don't often make round loaves because I tend to cut myself trying to cut into them. Any moment now I should see a dog. There she is. There's Maggie. She absolutely adores sourdough bread and she can't wait for her try. She's actually punching me and telling me to hurry up. She's such a funny dog. She's such a happy, sweet dog. And here comes Jackson wanting his piece, and Raymond as well. They love sourdough bread, and in small pieces it's really good for them. This is a great recipe to share with others, families, friends, and even your little pets if they're allowed to have it. And it's just a really lovely texture. There's many ways to make sourdough bread. Again, if you want to learn more about it, just type it in the search engine and you'll be surprised how many thousands of recipes are out there. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Thank you for visiting, and as always, happy baking.